Yeah, opposition officials, Fanula, witnesses in Misrata, well as doctors are telling us things are getting worse in this port city. Of course, there's been fighting for weeks, but based on witness accounts, things appear to be escalating. A rebel spokesperson telling us the Gaddafi forces are shelling more civilian targets in the fighting there. He told us people have died today, although he wasn't sure how many. This, of course, follows yesterday's fighting. A doctor telling us 10 people killed there yesterday in fighting in Misrata. The rebels are telling us that it appears NATO airstrikes were conducted in and around Misrata today. It's not clear what targets were hit, but last week, of course, NATO officials came out and talked about the challenges they face in conducting airstrike in Misrata. NATO officials telling CNN that Gaddafi forces were using human shields, placing their weapons and tanks next to homes, even places of worship. Obviously very difficult for warplanes to take out those types of targets. Another interesting development today, opposition officials telling us fishing trawlers, humanitarian vessels have left Benghazi and headed to Misrata by sea, but they could be in danger of facing Gaddafi forces, according to a rebel spokesperson. And we haven't verified this, but according to a rebel spokesperson, Gaddafi forces may be boarding vessels of their own in a port town called Homs, about 100 kilometers west of Misrata, and they may be heading there to perhaps harass these humanitarian ships, and that would, of course, mean trouble for the only lifeline to help the injured in Misrata, which is that particular port. So the situation appears to be dire, Fanula, and this is one of the cities, Misrata, that opposition officials are pointing to in the meetings in Doha to call for help.
And on those meetings, if we could move, Reza, just for a moment from the military to the political front, the Transitional Council in the eastern part of Libya is really very new at this game. It's just been up and running 2 months. It's having to run a war as well as politically administer the eastern part of the country. How organised a group are they? How effective have they been when they're simply learning on the job, in essence?
Well, look, this is one of the things they want to present in the Doha meetings, that they're a legitimate and organized body of government that can run things in a country like Libya despite the conflict. Where they get to in these meetings, how convincing they are, is very unclear. In fact, they haven't introduced all their leaders on the battlefield. There appears to be a stalemate, so they have a lot of obstacles to overcome, but certainly that's one of their objectives. When they're in Doha with these meetings, they want to present themselves as a legitimate and organized authority, but at this point, it's not clear really how organized they are, how capable they are of running a government at the same time running a conflict, running a war in Libya.